So we're going to be doing a recipe that incorporates some beans because we really want to include those in our diet, and that's where our research supports us.
Absolutely. So this recipe is a little more balanced, plus it's super easy. And so we're going to show you how to make a guacamole. Guacamole is pretty easy. I'm sure many of you have made it before, but if you haven't, this is the recipe to follow.
This is the way. And we should say our common theme as well, in addition to the myths, we're doing a bit of a Mexicana, patio season, some Latin flavors. And that's the through line for all of our recipes today.
Yes. So we're going to start off with, this is sort of a spring guacamole. Pretty simple to make. And obviously for guacamole, there's one ingredient you kind of have to have. So this is your avocado. This is a Hass avocado. This is a little bit larger, as you can see, than some of the more conventional avocados you find. Just as delicious. This one's a little firm, but a great way to find out, a little trick to find out if it's ripe and not like overripe. There's the little stem on the top. If you go to the grocery store, just don't make it obvious, but if you...
Don't remove the stem off of every single avocado.
Yeah, if you flick off the stem, underneath you'll see the color of the avocado. So it should be like a nice lime green, like a nice bright green. If it's really, really dark, that means it's probably a little too overripe, and that's probably going to be the color of the avocado inside. So you know, sometimes you open up an avocado and it's like really, really, really dark. It's really ripe.
Too brown,
It's a little too ripe. So that's a little trick you can do. So this one's really nice. And to cut it, what I want to do is run a knife to the middle of the stone. Make some more room here. Yeah. So run the knife to the middle of the stone, and then just slowly roll the avocado around until you make it to the other side, and then you can just twist it, and that'll split the avocado in half. And then to remove the stone, so this one's a little bit firmer, but to remove the stone, keep the avocado away from your hand and use the knife and just sort of jab it right into the stone until it sticks, and then you can twist like that, and then the stone will come out.
Yeah. Hooray! You don't need to waste any of that nutritious avocado.
Yes. And so what we're going to do, guacamole, we're going to bash the avocado. You can use a food processor, which is pretty easy. You can use a fork if they're super ripe. Throw it in a bowl. Use a fork. One of my favorite tools. Again, some of you may have it at home. You can find these at most grocery stores. A mortar and pestle. This tool has stood the test of time. It is still used quite a bit.
It's an ancient culinary piece.
And it's this was like the original food processor. This is what you would use to mash your ingredients. The advantage that this has actually over a food processor is that you're in complete control of the texture. So if you wanted something a little chunkier with a little bit more texture, you can control that because you're doing the mashing. With a food processor, you kind of have to pulse it a few times, and it's a great tool. But for some things, this works just as well, if not better. So we're going to actually start off with garlic. We're using raw garlic. We want a little bit of that heat from the garlic in here. If you don't like the heat or you can't tolerate the heat from garlic, because garlic can be pretty powerful, you can roast this off ahead of time in the oven, and we've done that a few times. So wrap it in foil, 375 for about 40 minutes, and it becomes super sweet. That heat from the garlic sort of dissipates, it goes away. And it's a little more enjoyable if you're not a garlic lover.
Another thing I've tried with guacamole, if I don't want the bite from the garlic, is you can use some garlic powder. Obviously you wouldn't start out with it, but you put it, sprinkle it over your avocado and then mash it together. So you're gonna get the flavor without, that sharp taste, if you're not a fan of that. And you still get, health benefits from using the powdered version as well.
So mash that up. We're gonna put our avocado in there. So I just like using a spoon and try to empty out. I'll use half because this is actually
it's a huge avocado.
And so by mashing the avocado, obviously we want to get it to a texture that we like. I don't like it super creamy or super smooth. Like a little bit of the chunk of the avocado is kind of nice. But you want to move not super fast, but relatively fast. Because
why do you think? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so exposed to oxygen, it'll oxidize, it'll start to turn brown. So we're gonna add our lemon juice. So it's very simple. We have our avocado, our garlic, just like a little pinch of salt, and then we're gonna add some lime juice. This is a horrible lime, as you can see. So we added our lime. We got enough in there. Give it a little stir, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can customize it to whichever way you like. This is as simple as it gets. It's springtime, so I try to incorporate as many of those spring ingredients as possible. So, I mean, shout out a couple. What are some like really nice spring ingredients right now?
What's in season right now? You can look up.
Rhubarb, asparagus.
Good.
Yes, peas, fiddleheads.
Yes,
perfect.
great.
One of my favorites that you'll see in some grocery stores, some farmers markets, are these guys here. Does anyone know what these are? Wild leeks. Who said it? Yeah, wild leeks.
Oh, great.
Who said it?
Who
Wild
said
leeks
that?
or ramps. Yeah, you got it.
Nice. Well
Wild
done.
leeks or ramps. These are fantastic. Very seasonal. You'll only see them in the spring, but delicious. And they're harvested, in the wild. They're wild leeks. And so I'm using the leeks, but again, green onion, even red onion, shallots. So we put the leeks in there, and again, raw or grilled, up to you. And then we're gonna compose our dish. So this is delicious like this. I like serving mine with tostadas. So tostadas are usually crispy tortillas. Typically, if you buy them in the grocery store, get them at the restaurant, they're fried to make them crispy. You can just get regular pitas. So these are actually just corn, 100% corn tortillas. And you put just a little bit of olive oil, toast them in the oven at 375. And so you're baking them and you get them really, really nice and crunchy. Like super, super tasty. So you're making your own little tostada or tortilla there. So avocado on the tortilla, and then again, you can top with whatever you want. We talked about including some beans. So we're adding some black beans here. Delicious. Obviously used a lot in Latin cuisine. Some tomatoes as well. These are cherry tomatoes, Ontario cherry tomatoes.
So basically, it would be a paleo recipe if you just had your guacamole and you had it with some vegetables, and maybe you could put, a piece of meat on top of it, kind of thing. I don't know how long I would be able to stick to something like that, but having a nice whole grain bottom to it so that you're getting some fiber.
All right, so that's it. That's a little spring
Delicious
guacamole.
tostada.